Hi everybody, it is April and I am in my craft room. It was a work from home day and I didn't put on any makeup, so I'm going to stay as far away from the camera as possible. But I did a video tutorial on placemats, and one of the placemats had binding, and somehow the camera ate where I went over the second part of the binding. So I wanted to make a quick tutorial on how to do binding. I'm going to do it on a quilt, but the concept is the same. It's just the same. So I've got this binding that I'm going to put on a quilt, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew my strips together. These are 2.5 inch strips. That's what I use. Some people use lesser width. I use the biggest width that is standard. And what you're going to do is, and I think it's called on the bias, you're going to make a T. So you're going to put right sides together and you are going to sew a diagonal. Now, I always get it backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little ruler, my little pencil, and I am going to scooch, scoochy kitty. There you go. Stay right there. Nope, not going to happen. I am going to take this ruler, pull this as far down as possible, so maybe you can see it. And my goal is to have this fold over when I am done, and it will look like essentially something like this. So it's on the diagonal so that it's not as bulky when you're sewing the binding. You do not have to do it this way. You can just do a straight seam, right sides together, sew it, be done with it. I would, when I ironed it, I would iron it with the seams open. And the difference probably isn't that great. But I'm going to do the technique that most people do. So, I've got my diagonal line. I'm going to press the front down, put the needle down, and my goal is to stay on the line. So, when I open this up, I actually did stay on the line. When I open this up, you can see that there's a straight line of binding. We are now on the dark side of the room for my annex because we need to iron. This is where my iron happens to be. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find your seams and you are going to iron them open. And you would do this whether you sew on the diagonal or, and this is like the hardest part, or if you were to sew just straight across, right side, right side. Okay, and then we're going to do that with all the seams. Alright, once that's done, then you are going to fold your fabric in half and press all of it, fold it in half. Finished! Okay, then you need to find some sort of surface that you can cut on that tells you angles, because you need a 45-degree angle. So what I'm going to do is, here's a 45-degree line. I'm going to open my binding. I'm going to go past the selvage. I'm going to put my ruler down on the 45-degree line, this whatever way you want. You don't have to use a ruler. You can, it's not a very big cut. You can just do it however you want. Okay. Then I fold over the end just a little bit. So it's folded just like that. And I'm just going to finger press it. It would be better probably if I pressed it with the iron, but it's okay. And then I'm going to fold it back over in half. This is the quilt that we're quilting. I know you can't see the whole thing, but this is the quilt, that we're binding. So I'm going to start at the bottom. Oh no, I'm going to start on the long side. Just kidding. And I'm going to move the camera. Okay, so what I do is I have this little basket. And it's actually got binding and gummy bears. So I roll up my binding from the end. Just on my hand. Just so it's neat and tidy. So now it's all in a neat little roll, and I put it in my bucket. Then I put my little bucket on the floor on the right hand side of my machine so that I can pull, and it's easier if you lay it flat, kind of like that, so then I can pull up as I'm sewing. Alright, so I'm going to start midway-ish. I'm going to place this on the back of my quilt. I don't know what I was thinking. Now, you can clip this if you want. Okay, so I've got the edge of my foot along the edge of my material. I have my binding open, a little pressed area. I'm going to stitch, and then I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to forward stitch. My quilt is getting caught on stuff. And a forward stitch a little bit more. Okay. Then I'm going to back stitch just to lock this in. And I'm going to cut my thread. Now, I'm going to fold this over. So what this is doing is it's creating a little pocket for the end of my binding to go in. So I don't want to start stitching here. I want to start stitching down here so that I've got plenty of overlap. So I'm going to put it back. The edge of my foot is lined up. And I am going to start sewing. Okay, let me try and straighten this out a little bit, but I think you're going to get a better angle here. So, I'm going to stop. This mark right here is when my needle, right here, is when my needle is a 1/4 inch from whatever sits on this mark. So, my goal is to stop with that mark right here, so that there's a 1/4 inch between the edge of my fabric and this part of my fabric. Okay, so I'm going to slow down. I've got to remember where my... Okay, then I'm going to back stitch. And then I'm going to cut my thread. Okay. Now, this is a 1/4 inch from the edge. I'm going to fold this back, So I have a little triangle. Then I'm going to put my finger where the edge of my material is on the seam I just sewed, fold it forward, hold it, and line it up. So, do it again. Fold it back, fold it forward, hold it in place, and it should line up with the next side of your quilt. Then, don't let it go. You can put a pin in it, or you can get your presser foot over there, put your needle down. I've got this little tool that if there's any bulk, I can put it under my presser foot, put my presser foot down, and then it makes it easier to get started where the bulk is. So now I'm just going to line it up and sew until I get to the point where I can line it up again. Now I am going to backstitch, so I'm going to go forward. I'm going to take that little tool out, I'm going to backstitch, and then I'm going to go forward. Okay, so we're coming to where we are going to overlap. And I'm going to get a little closer, but I'm going to stop just before I get to my opening. And then I'm going to backstitch, and I'm going to break my thread. Alright, so essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to be tucking this here. And if you see my stitches here, so I have this much overlap, I am going to cut this on a diagonal. These are not the scissors to do it with. So again, we're going to tuck it in here. My seam is there, so I'm going to cut this on the diagonal, starting right about where I've already tried to cut it twice. Not a stark diagonal, just a diagonal. Okay. So now I should be able to tuck this in. Straighten all this out, tuck this in. Yep, it's going to be a little thick through here, but that's okay. Those soup cozies were way thicker than this. Alright, so I'm going to go back to where I stopped, put my needle down, and then I'm just going to hold this in place, and I'm going to end up stitching over where I started, if everything works out the way I want it to. The beauty of this is no one will ever see this. So if it's not perfect, not a big deal. Okay, so I have got the back binding on. So you're going to fold everything over, specifically the corners, because the rest of it I'm going to clip. And this is always a challenge for me, not folding over the front. But the goal is to sew your binding on the front in such a way that you don't see this stitch line where your binding was attached on the back. So you have to sew on that stitch line, but also hit on the binding in the back. The struggle is real. Put this over on the one side and hold it on the corner, and then fold it over on the other side, so you have this perfect little box. Okay, welcome to the front side of the quilt. So the point is to essentially sew on the same line that you did the back on. so that you can't see this front seam, and it should hit on the back. So that's the goal. We will see if that happens. I'm starting at the bottom because I will do some back stitching. So I'll start and do some back stitching. And then here we go. The only thing you want to do in the corner is hold your pieces in place, especially until you get to the middle of the crease. So I'm going to go slow and I'm going to hold that down. Then my presser foot is going to help me. Okay, so now I'm going to lift my foot, pivot, pivot. Anybody who's a Friends fan knows what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to put my presser foot down. First I'm going to do my handy dandy tool. Then I'm going to put my presser foot down. Okay, I'm going to go slow. Okay, so I have finished putting the binding on my quilt, and the quilt is done. And that is how you do binding. Thank you for watching this video. I know that you have lots of choices when you watch YouTube. Come here. I made this quilt, for someone in particular. Can you say hi?
Hi.
So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like more videos like this, please subscribe and click the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.